All right, well, welcome to a sort of pre-season conversation.
Yeah, talk through a few different things ahead of the new season. Here we are on the eve of the new campaign, the club's first ever at step three. Before we get into everything that we've been up to, let's quickly reflect on last season. Obviously, back-to-back promotions, back-to-back Centurions, step three football, first time ever in the club's history. Just summarise what that moment was like for you and everyone else around the club, and what it means for our growth.
Yeah, I think for when we came in 2022, we always talked about what a 5-year plan could be and where we could get to with the investment in the club and what we were trying to do on the pitch and off the pitch. And step three was always like the goal for us, and we've managed to achieve that in 3 years. The first season was very much about investing in infrastructure, building out the community, making sure that everybody knew who we were, both in the non-league circles, but also mainly in and around Farnham, and building this club brand far bigger than it ever has been before. And then the last couple of seasons have been all about on-the-pitch success, which obviously then builds towards all the other things that we've been talking about. So it was an amazing achievement. Huge credit to everybody who both worked on the field and off it, be it the management team, but also everybody who works around the club to make sure that things happen. The pitch is looking good, the bar's well operated. The growth in fandom at the club has been just as impressive as our growth on the pitch. So amazing achievement. I have to say that it's great to see so many of our sort of lads who we brought in for the Step 5 campaign go through into the Step 4 campaign, but also boys that were with us and have been with the club for a long time, the likes of Max, the likes of Kai in some way or another, but also Owen, who ended up being our top goal scorer last season as well. And those things are really important to us as we continue sort of thread that legacy of the club, and hopefully try and build on that this season in Step 3.
Yeah, that transitions nicely into my next question. I think everyone acknowledges that the jump from step four to step three is much larger than step 5 to step 4, and we've been able to retain a very strong core of our group. I think 14 players from last season are still with us. A lot of those with us in step 5 as well. But I think it'd be remiss of us to not acknowledge the efforts of those that have left us.
Yeah.
The decision making for that, obviously lies with the management team, but how did those guys come to the decision to let the 6 players that left us go?
Yeah, so first and foremost, everybody who comes and wins a division with any team, needs to be looked back on with a huge amount of respect. And the way that we've managed to do that in both seasons has been obviously so incredible. So we obviously let players go for step 5 going into step 4, and we've done the same with step 4 going into step 3. Now, that could be for lots of different reasons. I'm pleased to say that we only let go of players that we wanted to let go of. We managed to keep all the players that we wanted to retain going into step 3. But that's not to say that we didn't think that those players were good players. It's just about what we're trying to achieve at step 3, push ourselves forward, potentially look to be at the top end of the table. And also what Jono and Jimmy and the management team really wanted to make Farnham's step 3 team look like. We knew we needed a bit more power and pace, because we've dominated the ball and sort of tactically and possession based over the course of the last couple of seasons. Been a massive thing for us, and maybe that'll be less and less as we go up the levels. So can we hit teams on the counter attack? Can we win more or win more games with set piece goals? That was something that we struggled with last year, because we never really had to focus on those things. We knew we'd outscore the opposition, and I think we just needed different ways to score goals this year. And then we knew, we've known for a while we've needed to solve the left-footed left-back issue. So that was something that we needed to do, which meant that we had to lose players in order to solve that issue. And then we also brought in a couple of players at the end of last season, the likes of Zaki, Sam Evans, who were already sort of being built into what we thought the new look Farnham team would look like into step 3. But yeah, it was a shame to see such great characters go. Jordan Gallagher was such a great signing for us at a critical time in the season, and did exactly what was asked of him. And I'm delighted that he came here, enjoyed it, built some great friendships, but also managed to win the title that he always wanted to. And he makes a step up into step 3 with Chertsey, with his cousin Josh this season too. So we will see him in the opening few weeks too, which is great. Mark Waters and Sam Croy both played more than 35 games for us last season, and Mark played the back end of Step 5 too. Both huge impact on both parts of their role in midfield, be it Sam on the attacking front and Mark in the defensive side. And both of those have gone off to Leatherhead, and then the likes of Gio Palmer made an impact when he needed to in that left back role last season. Liam Flanagan started the season with us. So yeah, no, we've been we've always had to evolve, and I think that's kind of where we are. You know, it's no bad blood for those guys. We kept really good relationships. We're very honest, and yeah, it was just about freshening up the squad, keeping 14. I think it's really important to keep the culture of what we've achieved, and then push us forward and evolve.
Yeah, like you say, players leaving means new players come in, 6 new faces this summer to make the squad even more competitive than it probably ever has been. We'll touch on them all individually, but do you want to maybe pull back the curtain a bit on what that sort of negotiation landscape was like this summer? You know, we're fishing in a completely different pond than we ever have done as a club.
Yeah, I mean, it was really expensive this year. I think, you know, not just for us, but I talked to lots of chairmen and managers, and I think the pool of players who are capable of going to win leagues, both at Step 4 and at Step 3, you know, the average price has just massively bumped up. And if we compare it to 3 years ago, the price per player is just, you know, just enormous in comparison to where it was. So huge cost hike, and therefore we needed to be careful about what we were bringing on and making sure that we understood exactly what the profile of player was, why they were coming to the club, how much they could add, whether or not they, you know, were, you know, if they've had, you know, an injury-ridden past or not. You know, we needed to be much more careful with the sort of profile of player that we were bringing in, especially also that there's so much more contracts that go, or so many more contracts that go around this level of football. So, you know, when you're signing players, you're not just, on the whole, you're not just signing them for sort of a rotational role. You're signing a contracted player that you're going to be liable for the entire season at a minimum. So it's it's a totally different negotiating landscape. It was really interesting. We always like to get our business done early. And so, you know, we were very fortunate that we were able to start talking about players in sort of February, March time, with the clarity that we were likely to get promoted, and then obviously ended up winning the league in the end of March. So we had a few profiles of players that we really liked, and then we knew there was a problem area at left back, which Joe Jackson has done a brilliant job over the course of the last couple of seasons of covering, but it's not his natural position. I think this season we'll see him more and more at centre midfield, and maybe we'll see him at right back, but I don't think we'll see him so much at left back. But yeah, for me, it was interesting getting to know players. I think what I would say is that all the players that we wanted to retain, the negotiations were very quick, very simple, and it was very much of let's continue the journey. And nobody was greedy. No one went out there to try and farm for other offers. They knew that what they, you know, for lots of them, what they dropped down to for Step 5 is kind of we're trying to complete the journey now at Step 3. So that was a great sign, and then we used that leverage with a great squad, a winning squad, to then go and add to. And we looked at a lot of data as well. I think we probably don't get the credit for that we deserve. You know, Brandon Mason, as an example, is a player that none of the management team had ever managed before, and we've got a couple of players that they have. But he was a pure data signing, and we really enjoyed understanding a bit more about that left-back role and what we wanted from it, and what Jono and Jimmy had really identified as that ideal left-back for either a 3-5-2, sort of a left wing-back, or in that 4-2-2-2, that bombing left wing-back who can get up and down and add lots of assists, as well as be excellent defensively, and it's something we haven't had. So Brandon's profile fit that perfectly. He's obviously played at a much higher level, but yeah, he was a data signing that we then started to get to know his profile, do the back, you know, due diligence, and ultimately make the signing.
Yeah, it's a great point on Brandon. He was probably the first one I was going to talk about. But we've been able to add in all areas of the pitch: defence, midfield, and attack. And Brandon probably arrives, you know, from St Albans City, as maybe the most accomplished player Farnham's ever had. You know, Premier League experience.
Yeah.
Got promoted in the Football League. Still at a great age.
Yeah.
What about him as a person have you got to know really well over this pre-season?
What I'd say about Brandon is, despite what he's achieved in football, he's incredibly humble. He's a lovely guy, and I really enjoy getting to know him. And he's fit straight into the group. Ironically, we didn't know it when we signed him, but he grew up with Joe Jackson and Daryl Sanders in that sort of Brentford area, playing lower league football when they were much younger. So that was really interesting. So a bit of chemistry there early on, and he played against the likes of Bobby Joe Taylor and Obi.
In the National South with Tom and Imran
exactly.
as well.
So there was a few like connections there, but he's probably the most outside of the group that we were bringing in. But we knew we needed to make a big move in order to solve that left back problem. And having watched pre-season, I mean, he's more than done that. He's absolutely solidified himself in the starting 11, and feel like there's a big evolution for us on that left hand side, which is fantastic.
Yeah, we made 4 signings all on the same day. You mentioned about wanting to get deals done early. Probably the one that was agreed first was Tom Leggett from Salisbury, a player that's well known to some individuals in the group from previous clubs. Yeah. Very athletic, versatile. Has also been sort of come out of the pro game. I think he was at Aston Villa as a kid growing up. What is he going to add to this team?
First of all, Tom is a great character. And that has been really important for us over the course of the last couple of seasons, of really bringing good characters into the dressing room and making it a fun environment to be a part of. And I think that when you talk to lots of different players in the bar afterwards, they'll all say that it's one of the best, or if not the best, dressing room they've ever been a part of. And Tom is like an addition to that. He's very technically adept. We haven't seen a huge amount of him in pre-season, but we've watched him quite a lot. He was at Salisbury last year and the year before, got promoted out of Step 3 into the National South. And won Player of the Season there. So I'm really excited to see him continue to grow into this team. There's a lot of competition in the middle of the park, so we could see him at fullback. We could see him in a back 3 potentially, but I do think we'll see most of his minutes at centre midfield. Ball playing player, looks to play forward. And an overall really good guy to add to the group. Love Island's own Harry Hugo's best mate.
Another player we brought in from the National League South, Imran Uche from Aveley. Again, he's someone that can operate maybe in midfield, maybe in defence. Can probably rival Ryan for the biggest physique in the squad. Was that something that we emphasised in our recruitment? I think you touched on it earlier, bringing in people with pace, with power, with size. Was that something we maybe were missing last year?
Yeah, I do think we were missing it. We definitely solved that with forwards with Sam Evans. That was a massive statement for us. Big striker with power and pace. And Imran is sort of more of a slight build, but he's 6'5". He's a presence in there, and he gets around the pitch really quickly. And I think with lots of tall players, I know it's a bit of a cliche, but you're a bit worried about how good they are on the ball, because their physicality is their main attribute. Imran's best attribute is probably how good he is on the ball, and how he glides around players. So he's obviously picked up this unfortunate dislocated little finger, which has caused him a few problems and left himself out over the course of the last few weeks. But we will see him back for the second week of the season, and I'm confident we'll see a lot of Imran Uche this season across the different positions. He's a really exciting signing, and a player that's at 25 had a lot of National South minutes and a lot of National South appearances, and I'm sure he will be looking to get this club back there too.
In Imran, in Tom, in Bobby, who we'll touch on, and Joe Jackson that you've mentioned, a few of the other players, positional versatility it looks like it's been a big emphasis in our recruitment. We're going to probably try a few different shapes this year.
I think it's choice.
Yeah.
I think more than anything, it's choice. We're not really 100% sure what this league looks like yet, and how good it is, what we're going to have to do on away days, what we're going to have to do at home, how we're going to have to grind out wins. Are we going to have to change shape in game when we're 2-0 up, or when we're 2-0 down? What are we going to have to do? So I think it gives us options. I think Joe Jackson and Max Meaton have been great examples over the last 2 years of players that have probably had more minutes than they expected, in different positions than they would have naturally said, but because of that have been incredible and integral parts of our success. And being able to add other players with different attributes but ability to play in multiple different positions gives Jono and Jimmy a huge amount of options to change things around in game, being able to prepare for games in a different way. And yeah, I think versatility was a massive part of that, alongside pace and power.
Yeah, we're going sort of back to front with talking about the new recruits. Matt McKenzie, a younger profile compared to maybe some of the other players we've brought in.
And another transfer fee.
Yeah, the second ever transfer fee in the club's history. Firstly, do you want to talk about what that process was like? I know we might have touched on it in a couple of other vlogs that we've done. But secondly, what was it about Matt that got everyone so excited that he was someone that the club simply couldn't miss out on?
Matt he's a professional footballer playing at the amateur level, the semi-pro level right now. You know, he's got all the ability. I think he just needs to be playing in a better team. He played at South Park and then he played at Hamwell, but he's physical. He can drive with the ball. He's incredibly smart on the pitch. Really impressed with him. We've heard loads about him before he came into the club, and then as soon as you saw him play that first game away at Cobham, you knew immediately that he scored, broke up play, read it. You know, I've been really impressed with Matt, and yeah, it was a transfer fee. You know, we knew to get him out of Hamwell, obviously the same level, same league, it wouldn't be that easy, and there was a lot of interest in him at leagues higher up. And fair play to Matt, you know, he really wanted to come and play in a team that was going to come and compete, having played in a team that was kind of mid-table over the last couple of years. And what he said to me and Jono is that as a centre midfielder, he's played kind of underneath the ball quite a lot over the last couple of years. Ball's gone over his head. You know, he's been used as kind of like a second ball merchant to kind of get the ball back, recycle it, and move the ball forward. I think in this team and in this system, he's going to see so much more of the ball, and he's going to develop his on-ball skills, his passing, his positional work, and I think we're going to really see a different side to Matt McKenzie this year than maybe we've seen over the few years he's been at Hamwell. So really exciting signing. Still a young lad, still developing, but got all the physical and mental attributes to go far in the game. And yeah, delighted that he chose Farnham as his option, because he did have lots of choice.
You mentioned earlier, obviously, Jordan Gallagher, that his goals were so important for us last year during that second half of the season, and letting him leave probably raised some eyebrows in the local circuit. So having to bring in a goal scorer to support the very talented group that we already had that had experience at this level was going to be key. So where did we find Ogo Obi from? Obviously, coming from the Isthmian Prem, it didn't play on this side of the non-league circuit so much. And what have you seen from him in pre-season that excites you the most?
Okay, so when we looked at the profile, we look at our squad build as how many goals we're going to score and how many goals we're going to concede, and the magic number is like 100 goals scored and like 50 goals conceded. And if you get those numbers, then you're a playoff team, and you're probably pushing for higher than that. So it was about building out a squad that we believe could score 100 goals. Owen Dean has been a revelation for us over the last few years, but he's going into a new level. Very hard to project how many goals Owen's going to score this year. He could score 30, he could score 10. Both would be an incredible return for a young guy playing in his first season at Step 3. Lids has been a player who hasn't necessarily been a huge goal outlet for us, but has been a brilliant player for the last 2 seasons in leading from the front. So, you know, you can't put a huge amount of goals to Lids' name. Great Evans is you know, his production is fantastic. So both from an assist and goals point of view, you know you're going to get goals from Great. Definitely was concerns about his fitness over the course of last season. He was in and out of the team. You know, how much could we rely on Great's output? But when he does play and when he does get minutes, his output is fantastic. Sam Evans has never had a 20-goal season. But from a profile point of view, we were very confident that he had everything we needed to get his 20 goals. And then that was our 4 strikers. We knew that we had to add a player who had the potential to score 30. We looked across the leagues, and Jono said, we actually had Oggs at Bedfont for a couple of games whilst he was at Hampton and Richmond. Then he went on to Chesham and Slough, and then last season he was at Wingate and Finchley and scored 27 goals in the league in what was a very, very poor team that just avoided relegation. And we watched some of the clips, and obviously Jono and Jim had both coached him before, and we watched the clips and looked at the sort of player and the sort of goals that he was scoring last season. And it was exactly what we've been missing. Off the shoulder runs, in with the goalkeeper, one-on-ones, rounding the goalkeeper, taking the ball early, strikes it really clean. And we had the conversation, he was really keen to rekindle with the management boys. And it was just a great addition to the squad. And we've seen it in pre-season. I mean, he scored nearly every appearance he's made, scoring a hat-trick at Badger Lee. But he scored goals that we haven't really seen scored at Farnham over the last couple of seasons. That's why we brought him in. But it wasn't because we didn't believe in what we had. It was because it was very hard to project what we had based on the level that they're going into.
And then lastly, Bobby Joe Taylor from Dorking Wanderers, probably one of the most high-profile additions that we've made this summer. A decade's worth of experience at Step 1, has been a part of some really successful sides over the last few years. He had a lot of interest, I'm sure he did. Do you want to tell us a little bit about what that conversation and negotiation was like? And then secondly, onto that, from what we've seen in pre-season, where do you think he's going to be utilised for us?
Yeah, it's a great question. Bobby was going to be the answer for our left-back woes for about 48 hours. And then he said he needed to think about it. He had loads of other options, and rightly so when he left Dorking. He's obviously an incredibly high-profile Step 1 player. He kind of missed his boat to be our left-back. And in that weekend, we signed Brandon because we didn't believe that Bobby was going to go for it. And then Bobby called me on the Tuesday and said, I'd really like to push forward with this. I'm really excited about the project. And him and I met on the Wednesday morning that we were announcing the signings. And we got the deal done. Basically, the conversation with Jono was like, we can't, and Jono said to me, like, we can't miss out on an opportunity for a player of this quality if he's available and he wants to come. And it was never about the money. Fair play to Bobby. He's taken a big old pay cut in order to come here. I know people won't believe that, but he has. This is the first time that the Bobby Joe Taylor will not play professional football in his life. Same for Brandon Mason. Both of them have only ever been pro footballers. This is a big step for them in their lives, let alone their football careers. And Bob was ready for it. He's pushing on with his coaching business on the side. It was an opportunity we couldn't turn down. And where I see him being utilised, well, it was going to be a left back until Brandon has kind of solidified that slot. He's obviously played all sorts of different positions for Dorking Wanderers, for Aldershot, and then he spent a bit of time at the back end of last season on loan in this league with Walton and Hersham, playing quite a lot at the right wing, cutting in on his left foot. He's incredibly gifted, technical player, set pieces, and great character, great leader. I think he will allow players like Owen Dean, Sam Evans, Jack Dean to get better, which is also a net positive for us. Really pleased with the signing of him, and I think we'll see a lot of him in the 10 alongside Daryl Sanders.
See, for the season now, we've got Hungerford at home next Saturday as we're filming this, a week today. This is our last pre-season game as we're filming. We've got Dorking Wanderers this afternoon. We won't dive into all of pre-season, but what would be your main sort of takeaways? What are the things that you've learned and have seen from this team that gets you really excited for the new season?
Despite us scoring over 100 goals in the last 2 seasons, this is the most explosive we've ever looked going forward. I think we can score goals in so many different ways that we've never been able to score goals before, which is incredibly exciting. I think the options, and we've talked about versatility, the options that the management have to play different formations and different things, I think is really great, and will allow us to transition into this league in a really, really good way. But what I would say about pre-season is we've been really good. We haven't lost a game. We played Dorking this afternoon. Maybe that will change, but we have no idea what we're going into really. Like, we have no idea how good we are in comparison to the level. We could be a relegation team, we could be a mid-table team, we could be the best team in the league. We've got absolutely no idea. We know we've got a strong team. We know we've got great cohesion. We know we've got a winning mentality and a winning culture, and we've got amazing fans and a great infrastructure at the club in order to make all these things sing together. But until the boys get out on the pitch and it's competitive and they're playing for 3 points, we just won't know. But this was about backing the management team to go and do it again. This isn't easy to go and win one league, let alone back-to-backs, let alone in the fashion that we've done it. And they deserve the backing of us at the club in order to go and have a real go at it this year as well. So we've allocated a good budget. We want to be competitive. We want to give the fans something to cheer for this season. We didn't want to stand still. We wanted to evolve, and that meant changing some of the playing staff. But I'm excited with how pre-season's gone, and I'm looking forward to the season.
You mentioned evolving. A big part of that at the club is not on the pitch but off it. Moving up another level, that means another round of investment in infrastructure and things that are changing. I think the fans would be most interested to know the latest about what's going on with the Clock End Terrace, which I know we did a great fundraising job, and shout out to all the fans that contributed towards that. It's in the works, but do you want to maybe give a little shine a light on that?
Yeah, I'll try and give it a brief overview of where we are and what we've invested in this summer. So a total of £200,000 will be invested over the course of the 6 months from summer to Christmas. New bar area outside the clubhouse, which not only increases standing room, but also increases the amount of pumps, which will get fitted next week. So people can get draft lager from there, and also food, which is fantastic. We've added some toilets. We've added a better area in the clubhouse garden. We've put better lighting underneath the terrace in the clubhouse garden. We've put a new turnstile, which we have to do from step 3 perspective, down the far end by the Pepperami stand. We've also put a new away toilets unit in and 2 office blocks. We've also added and flattened a whole away fan zone area, which will get seeded for grass and pathed over the course of the next few weeks. But that looks really good and will evolve into a really important part of the ground. We put another food unit which will replace the mystery kitchen unit, which will also serve beer and drinks, and that will get fitted over the course of the next 4 weeks. And then the most important of all, obviously, is the Clock End stand, which people have kindly donated over the course of the last 6 months. We matched that donation, and we got ourselves to about £50,000 worth of investment, which is fantastic. The project's going to cost about £100,000. We've had preliminary agreement from the Football Foundation, the Premier League Stadium Fund, that they will fund the rest of it, and hopefully we've got the construction drawings being done at the moment, and we've assigned the tender to the building company that we're going to use for it. Hopefully it will be in ahead of the winter, so October, sort of Halloween sort of time is when I expect our stand to be in, but don't hold me to that. We'll keep people up to date. We really want to get it in, obviously, and it's a major push for the club. So it's a major focus for us, but end of October is hopefully when we'll get it in.
I'm not sure if it will be debuted today. I know we spoke about it. It could be next Saturday against Hungerford, but the new half-time entertainment, the half-pitch punt, I think we're calling it.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell fans what that is and why they should get excited about it?
Half-pitch punt, yeah, it is going to be debuted today. We'll release the video ahead of next week so people know what they're looking for. But we'll pick one fan out of the audience for half-time. They'll have 3 balls. They'll have one from the 18-yard line, one from about 30 yards out, and one from the halfway line. If they hit the crossbar, they can kick it out their hands. It can bounce and hit the crossbar. However they want to do it, it has to hit the crossbar. And from 18 yards, they get, if they hit the crossbar, they get something from the club shop. 30 yards, if they hit the crossbar, then they get £100 in cash. And then they get the opportunity from the halfway line to hit the crossbar. And if they do it, everyone in the ground gets a free drink. So half-pitch punt is going to be an exciting addition to our half-time viewership. We will also stream it from the gantry to YouTube, but in the ground, it's something that's going to get way better. So excited for that, and looking forward to seeing people try their luck at winning some beer.
We'll have a look at some questions from some fans now. Thank you to everyone that submitted some questions into us to ask Harry. Some of them might be a bit more longer than others. Some of them might be a little whistle-stop tour through them. Tom asks, who do you think we will struggle against the most this season? So I guess who do you think will be up there challenging for titles this season?
I think there'll be a lot of teams that are up there. I think Bracknell have invested heavily. I think Gloucester haven't are a full-time team. That's the level we're going into now. We've gone from playing in leisure centres two years ago to now playing against teams that are literally professional. I think Sholing will be good and tough outfit to play. I think Walton and Hersham always have their say up there. Really good footballing side and well run. And then Weymouth, I mean, they're the team that no one really knows how good they'll be this year because they're coming down from the National South. So I think there'll be lots of tough teams. But I think the things we'll struggle most with right now, when I'm thinking about it, is those long away trips. We've just never had to do it. So not just from a playing staff point of view, but from a club, we have to change how we do things and make sure we're doing them right as we go away to long distance journeys. And from a fan perspective, also get that right. So we've got minivans that we're going to take fans down to longer away trips, which we'll be selling spots on, not to make money. It's actually all the profits will go to Brightwell's charity, which is fantastic. So we're not looking to make money. We just want to get fans down to these long away trips. And I know it's not easy to organise it yourself. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see those long away trips. But I do think those will be the ones that we potentially struggle with.
Yeah, great. Tim asks, what would you consider a successful season on and off the pitch?
Off the pitch, I'd like to just increase the average attendance. I'd like to have some big games. I want a few really big game feelings. More than 1,000 people in here. From a on pitch perspective, I mean, I'm nervous to say exactly where we want to be. Obviously, we want to win the league. Everybody starts the league wanting to win the league. I think we want to be in the playoff picture. That's where realistically we are from a budgetary point of view, and from the consistency we're bringing into it from previous seasons. I think we're a playoff team, and it's never as simple as that. And there's going to be twists and turns along the road. And I warn fans that there will be games and runs of games that don't go our way, and that we aren't used to. So we have to believe and back the boys over the course of the whole season. But yeah, a playoff picture team. I'd like to be in the hunt for the title at Christmas. I like to, not be too far away from it, but that's just to keep it interesting, really.
Tim's asked quite a few questions. I'll try and pick out the ones that I feel like are the most interesting. How much are you personally enjoying doing what you're doing here?
I love it. I think you never really get an understanding about how much it takes to do this, especially when you want to go and win like we have. Like it really does take its toll on your time. I'm very fortunate that I have time to do this, and obviously fortunate from the financial perspective that we've been able to back it as much as we have. But I love it. It's the highlight of my week. I love seeing everybody. I love, having got to know the players and the management and everyone behind the scenes, and seeing Rach when I get her on a Saturday behind the bar. And, it's like a little family down here. We've built a great community, and, I try my best to say hello to all the fans as well. We've built some really good relationships over the course of the last few years. So, yeah, for me, I do love it. I want it to continue. I want to keep winning. That's not going to be that easy as we continue to go up the leagues. But, yeah, I love it. And I wouldn't swap it for anything.
Leo asks, would you rather reach the playoffs or get into the FA Cup first round proper?
Oh, that's a great question. I think the first round proper just still comes with so much unknown. The playoffs is a big game, especially if we were hosting a playoff game. It's a huge game for the club, and I think in our first season it would probably be a bigger signal of intent than the FA Cup run. Don't get me wrong, it's probably the only thing we haven't achieved as a club is an amazing cup run. So I would love to do that. But I think this season, I'd prefer a playoff to make the playoffs and have a chance of going up and have a chance of hosting a playoff game, which will feel like a cup game. Mm-hmm. But it's one of those things that hopefully in our women's team we have a really good run in the league, but we also have a great FA Cup run with them like we did last season. We get into the first round proper there, which was really exciting. Hopefully we can better it this year.
This one's a two-parter. What's the most bizarre or strangest request you've ever received from a player when trying to sign them? And secondly, is there a Farnham tax when talking to players about coming here?
There's definitely a Farnham tax for certain players. I mean, you can kind of sniff it out quite quickly whether or not they're actually interested. You know, have they done their research? Do they actually know what we're talking about? Have they done their due diligence on me, on Jono? You know, do they actually know what they're coming in for, or they just heard that there's money here and they can come and grab it? And we've been pretty lucky that I'd say, on the whole, maybe bar one or two, we've got that right over the course of the last couple of years. In terms of requests, I can't think of anything too crazy, to be honest. But these boys are money motivated. They want to make money. I think there's been some crazy like bonus requests. Think of like Kai. Kai wanted a clean sheet bonus when he was playing in one position. He wanted an assist bonus when he was playing in another position. He wanted a goal bonus if he was playing in another position. So that was mad. But no, to be fair, all the boys are really good. They don't take the piss, and they're all good lads, and they've stuck with us, and they've been a part of the project. And yeah, there is definitely a Farnham tax when you're negotiating with players, but you can kind of sniff that out quite quickly.
If you're speaking to someone that's never been to a Farnham game before, what would be your top 3 reasons to come down?
I think we play great football. I think that's number one, and I think we can't get away from the fact that we're a football team and a football club, and therefore your football needs to be exciting. And we play a very exciting, very enjoyable to watch brand of football, and a huge credit to the management team for getting us there, and the players for adapting and playing to it. Then we're a family club, like a community club.
No, you fucking.
Perfect timing.
This
You
is
good?
Look, Mark, this is Harry I told you about.
You good?
This is Gaff.
You good?
Yeah.
Good.
One day you'll score some goals for them, won't you?
We'll be above them. We'll be above them in a
He'll
few
come and
years.
score goals for you when he's 15, before he plays for England, wouldn't you, mate?
The next Max Dowman.
The governor. You're good, yeah?
Yeah, we're
Good,
all
mate.
good.
Good. Yeah, I didn't think you'd be here this early, mate.
I was here an hour ago.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Look at that.
It's decent, isn't it?
Lovely. Done well with that.
Yeah, versus where we've been last 2 years, it's
I
like
think there's been rain.
a bit of rain, yeah. Like Thursday was rain, which is perfect to green it up.
I don't miss them days.
Where you're like just checking your phone.
Yeah, looking out the window in the morning thinking,
We're
do you know what
fucked.
I mean? I don't miss that.
What were we talking about?
The top 3 things that you
Oh yeah, so we're a
reasons
football
for-
team, so we're a great football team to watch. That's number one. We're a family club, despite what Mark White thinks. We're a great family club, great community club, and I think we're cheap. I think that's the third. I think we're cheap. I think we're cheap to eat, we're cheap to drink, we're cheap to get in. I think you can have a really good day out at Farnham Town and not break the bank, and that's as like a family. You can do this on a budget, and I think that's good. And if I was to add a fourth, is that you can watch and enjoy Farnham Town when you aren't here. You can watch on YouTube live. You can watch the documentary out every Friday because Jack does such a great job filming sometimes. And
all the stuff we do on TikTok,
also,
on Instagram,
TikTok,
you know.
Instagram, Twitter. Like you can keep up with this team when you're not here, when you are here, and therefore, you feel a part of it. And I think that would be the fourth thing I would add to that.
The last fan question: what more can us as supporters do to accelerate the growth of this club?
First and foremost, I think this year it's about getting behind the boys when it's not going well, because as a fan group, I think we've been incredibly spoiled, and I include myself as a big fan of this club. During the game, I'm a fan. Away from the games, I'm the chairman, and I'm trying to lead this club into doing what we're trying to do. But during the 90 minutes, I'm a fan, and I think we need to do better as a group of backing the boys when it's not going well, because that hasn't been something we've been used to. So we need to get used to that, and then come up to us and say, I could help the club do this. We're always looking for people to help. We've been very, very fortunate that lots of people have done that over the course of the last couple of years, put their skills to use, and add to the club, but we're continuing to need to do that. So yeah, we're.
I know we've touched on this a couple times and you've hinted at it, but maybe in a succinct manner, just outline what your targets, what the club's targets are for this season.
This season, playoff team, little cup run, women's team win the league, FA Cup run to the first round proper, and grow the fan base from that 650 average to a number at least beginning with 7, and have at least 5,000 person plus games, which would be amazing, because those are the occasions that people really remember. And if that means that we go and have another incredibly successful season and either lift a trophy or go up in the playoffs or whatever it might be, or have an amazing cup run, so be it. But for us, it's about competing this year rather than trying to win it.
And to finish off, if you only had one message to give to our fans, ahead of this season, which, at step 3, probably the most exciting season in the club's 120-year plus history, what are you telling fans to get them excited for the new year?
I'd say enjoy it. Like, we have got so many talented footballers. We're blessed with a team that doesn't just shell it long and look for the big man up top and play what would be traditionally non-league football as style goes. We are an enjoyable team to watch. We have players that can do things that we don't deserve to have at the level we're at, and therefore you just need to remember that sometimes. Enjoy it, get behind the boys, and make the most of your weekends. We've got some fun trips. Poole Town, Weymouth, Yate, Evesham, Gloucester,
Plymouth. Tiverton.
Yeah, make the most of your weekends. This is the season to really enjoy the travel. Because after a few seasons at this level, it'll get tedious and you won't get the ability to go to all these games. Like, make the most of it this year. Enjoy it for the first time. Be there when we're going to these places for the first time. But ultimately, enjoy what you watch on the pitch. It's a pleasure to watch them every single week. And I know the boys will give every single part of themselves to this club. And now we just need to make sure we back them in the tough moments as well as the great moments.
Brilliant. Well, we'll wrap it there, I think.
Great. Thanks very much.